All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the SHIPIT Nation, first ever cash show with my guy, Title. We'll be breaking down DFS for the main slate on Sunday from a cash game perspective. We'll kind of go through position by position and talk about guys that are in play. The goal of this show is going to be to develop a player pool going into Sunday, and then we kind of hone in, narrow it down, and that will be available in our content over at SHIPITNation.com. The format, like I said, is going to be very simple. We're going to talk about DK, FanDuel, cash eligible guys, potentially some locks along the way to this week. Honestly, it's relatively wide open most weeks for cash games right out of the gate. It's very clear cut path in terms of where you go. A lot of standout, like elite value, must play type stuff. I'm not seeing much of that this week. So, I'm curious to kind of go through and talk about it. And like I said, we'll be here every Friday, this time slot, 2:30 Eastern, myself, Title, two guys that are playing cash games every single week, multiple sports in the streets. We're not just talking about cash plays, we're playing them as well. Title, bring you in here. Very excited, obviously, for NFL to get started. Talk to me about that. And then, let the people know what they can expect over at SHIPITNation.com in terms of our offerings for cash games.
Yeah, excited to do this show. I mean, a lot of people say cash game's dead in a lot of sports. A lot of people hold on to the one sport it's not dead is NFL. Obviously, I disagree a little bit. I'm in the streets. Pull up MLB slate right now, I'm in it. But NFL is definitely the biggest edge left because it's the most people. I mean, I'll just say right away first, so people ask me some strategy things. And the one thing that people ask, the main question that they get that I'll answer is, what's better? Smaller field stuff, larger field stuff. In NFL, you see some $20,000 contest, cash contest, some 22-person cash contest. You see some 150 max. They can put in 150 teams for it. You see some single entry, 3-entry max stuff. So people out there, I assume most people can't just be entering every single cash contest. So just say you have a $100 bank or whatever, I would really just stick to single entry or 3-entry max contest and just fill up. If there's 30,000 people in one contest and 150 in another, do the $30,000 contest because obviously you'll have more fish in there. 22-person contest, you're playing against usually 20 pros, 19 pros, something like that, and the cash lines are way higher. So contest selection right away, huge double ups and stuff like that in the NFL streets. Always be weary and stuff when you're joining contests. The more people in it, the better. Single entry, 3-entry max, the better. What you can see at us at SHIPIT Nation is we're going to do this show, but we're not going to be giving 4 or 5 locks and any of that stuff. We're doing a player pool stuff. It is still Friday, like Kenneth Walker's questionable, but if you want real locks, you got to go over to SHIPITNation.com. I'm giving 4 on each site, almost half the roster. We have projections as well. We have Discord. We have our shows that we're doing here. We have our Sunday morning show. If you lock in those 4 plays, look at all of our content, you can make a good cash team every single week. I'm in the streets, FanDuel, DK, see me everywhere and all the buy-ins, hoops in there as well. Yeah. Don't think you can really have better people giving you cash content. Don't really like saying that, though. You're bragging. But at the end of the day, our money is where our mouth is. Yep. You see it play on there. It's going to be in my roster. It's been profitable the past many years. And, yeah, I'm mixing in GPPs now more than I ever have in the past. But still a lot more action in the cash streets.
Yeah, and then just to add on to one point that you mentioned, our goal here is to make everyone that signs up a better player. It's not just to give you the plays and you enter them in contests. We want to make you a better DFS player regardless of what sort of contest you're entering, cash games, big GPP, small GPPs. That's why we did the 4-hour education video. Myself and Tambo went through every aspect of DFS, bankroll management, contest selection, which you kind of touched on there for cash games, live final stuff, qualifiers, Millie Maker reviews. We took questions, 4 hours. If you're a member at SHIPITNation.com, you get access to that. We have our promo going, and it's going to run through Monday. I'm going to pull it up here. It's called the 3-2-1 Blast Off Bundle. This gets you 6 months of access, not only for NFL. This isn't just NFL content. This gets you access to all our content on our website. It works out to like $52 or $53 a month, but it takes you all the way through NFL season, all the other sports along the way. MMA, we got UFC 293 tomorrow, which if you haven't watched it yet, I know it just wrapped up, but Title and Marley just went through and broke down every single fight. I watched it. Great breakdown. Big contest for that tomorrow. It includes baseball, which we're going to have content all through the playoffs. Includes PGA. We'll have NHL starting up as well. NBA starting up soon. And it's the best time to get in right now. This all goes away on Monday. So it's your last opportunity to get in at a discounted rate. Cheapest price in the industry. It's something I always say, like, man, our motto over here is you pay us less and you can enter more contests. You get to play for more. Pay us less, play more contests. The honest truth, we're the cheapest all-in price in the industry with the most all-encompassing product. I mean, we offer everything on the NFL side. We have the education, like I talked about. We have all Showdown content. So Showdown for content for every single Showdown NFL game, a GPP core report where you get cores from our top experts, cash report, which Title just talked about, 4 locks on each site, my player pool, 4 GPPs with exposures, Tambo's slate plan. So his core, a few additional cores, and how he is handling the slate with his players, main players as well, mixed in there. Stack rankings, not just your standard stack rankings where you're going to pull it up and it's going to be Mahomes, Kelsey, and all the Chiefs guys. And the next stack's going to be the Buffalo Bills guys. This is kind of a comprehensive stack ranking system where it's incorporating value, it's incorporating ownership, and then we kind of rank it all, and it gives you some unique type stacks where you could take down GPPs. DVP rankings, those will become active, I believe, week 3 or 4. We want to get a little data involved there before we release those. So week 3 or 4 on those, and then slate info on our website, that is free. You can go to that at any time, whether you're a member or not. So now is the time to get in. This price tag is the best in the. I mean, I look around and I see this is the cheapest price in the industry. So make sure to get in before Monday, before this deal goes away. All right. We are obviously here to talk cash games. Title, as I said in the opening, like, man, a lot of weeks, especially week 1, we see very obvious pass. We see very obvious builds. I don't know if that's necessarily the case this week. There's not a ton of absolute lock standout value plays. Just talk to me about overall roster construction heading into this week for cash games.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, most weeks, because DraftKings especially, and they release pricing so early on week 1, like beginning of August, get out those milli makers, everyone gets excited, and usually injuries pop up throughout the offseason, throughout the preseason, stuff like that, where you just get a free guy. Running back 1 went down, running back 2 steps in at 4.5K, like a Jonathan Taylor situation where JT is he was obviously supposed to play when the pricing came out. He's not playing, so now it's the Deion Jackson, the Evan Halls of the world. Now, Deion Jackson isn't play, but he's by no means a lock just because they're going to be rotating is the Colts backfield. But 4.1K, let's just say he was the lock. Like coaches came out and said he's going to be 70% of snaps. Well, right there, usually we do have someone like that week 1. You just plug and play 3 guys, 4 guys come in like 70+% owned just because of injuries and mispricing. Yeah, really not the case that we have here. And it's kind of fun because quarterback-wise, like on both sides, like there's no lock at quarterback and you can pay up, plenty of options. There's options in the mid-tier. Like what you kind of are going to do at quarterback is going to dictate what you do at the rest of the roster. And I think quarterback is pretty spread out today. So, yeah, I've seen a couple locks on both sides. I'm starting to fill in the cash report on the thing right now. If there's a stone lock, we'll give out maybe a lock or 2 on this show. But again, we don't want to be you got to head over to SHIPIT. It's already too cheap. We're not giving out free cash lineups on a show like this, but we'll build you a player pool for sure.
Yeah, you talked about it. Quarterback kind of determines what you do with the rest of your roster. The one thing that stands out to me so far through, once I started digging into everything is there's options at like every price point. And we're going to start on DraftKings and then we'll flip over to FanDuel. But on DraftKings, in my opinion, we have Sam Howell all the way. What is his price tag?
He is all the way down to
4,900. So he's 4,900. You got Anthony Richardson, 5,600. You have, who I like, Justin Herbert a little bit at 6'9". You have Jalen Hurts up there at 7'8". So, I mean, there's options, and there's other guys as well in play. But the way I'm viewing this on DraftKings is you have options in every price range. Now, if you have a strong conviction on one of those guys, go ahead, plug it in, fill out the rest of your lineup. If you don't, I think you can fill out the other spots, come back, and play one of those guys. I'm not seeing a lock at quarterback. I'm seeing 4 or 5 guys that are in play. What are your thoughts, DK, quarterback?
Yep. No, lockstep right here. So if I'm spending up, it is going to be Justin Herbert as of now. Like, I just don't like the Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields price tags, the Lamar price tags. They're just not, it's not worth it to get all the way up there. So going down, Justin Herbert is my favorite one at 6.9K. If I'm spending up, get a high pace matchup against Miami, a lot of points are going to be scored, one of the highest totals on the slate. They're going to sling the ball, obviously, with all the weapons. Herbert is safe as it gets, but 6.9K, you definitely can save. I mean, we're going to go through all these positions. There's always going to be spend up wide receivers, and the more the years have went on, everyone was playing running back in the flex every time. Spend up at running back, spend down at receivers. Now, as the NFL has changed, the Justin Jeffersons, the Cooper Kupps, obviously he's injured, the Tyreek Hills of the world. Wide receivers is usually a position that people want to spend the premium because there's only a handful of guys that are the alphas of the alphas. So if you can't get Herbert, plenty of options. Anthony Richardson would be the next. Geno Smith / Anthony Richardson. Right now, I'm leading the $500 savings with Anthony Richardson against Jacksonville. And again, he's a rookie. It's really, really questionable what we're going to see for Indy's offense. Offensive line questionable. Jonathan Taylor, he's obviously not playing the first 4 weeks. It's going to be a mess for sure for Indy. They have Pittman and stuff there, but Richardson, just a freak athletic guy or athlete. In Florida, he rushed the ball a ton. People are saying he's going to rush for over 1,000 yards. I'm not quite bullish there yet, but if you're saying that we pretty much get a second running back at the goal line down here, he definitely has rushing upside for yards. He makes a lot of sense at 5.6K as a rushing quarterback. So he's going to be someone I'm considering. If I can't get there, and again, Geno against the Rams, it's fine, but I'm worried about these Rams, man. With no Cup there, I think it's going to be a tough start to the year. I think they run the ball a lot. I think they play a lot slower. And the Kenneth Walker situation is interesting too. If he's out, I would bump Geno. I think you could add a couple more dropbacks and stuff there. If Kenneth Walker plays, I prefer right now the Richardson there. And then if I go all the way down, yeah, you mentioned it, like Sam Howell's 4.9, Baker Mayfield's 4.9. I prefer Sam Howell to Baker right now. Kind of in the similar boat as Anthony Richardson. Well, rookie season, technically, he's making his coming into the year as the first start, but he started the end of the season last year. Also a guy with rushing upside right here. Terry McLaurin's going to play what you like to see from him, another weapon out there. And he gets this Cardinals team that is just a complete mess. I mean, they're going to win 1, 2, 3 games or something this year. Very cheap, 4.9K, allows you to play Jefferson, allows you to play all the other ones. 2K less than Herbert. That's kind of why we're talking. So, yeah, 3 ranges right there. 4 guys, kind of 3 right now, though. Herbert up top. If you want to go to the mid-tier, Geno or Richardson, monitor the Walker news. If you want to go all the way down to save, Sam Howell. So, pretty clear on DK.
Yeah, and, going over to FanDuel, I see it pretty similar. I mean, I think there are more guys actually on FanDuel that I consider than on DraftKings, this 7K range. You have Richardson all the way down at 6.7 on FanDuel. We have Herbert at 8.1, and then you do have Hurts up at 9K. I think you can make the case a little bit more on FanDuel if you want to get all the way up to go to a guy like Jalen Hurts where the rushing touchdowns are more valuable. So I personally see more options on FanDuel versus DraftKings. Hurts, Herbert, Richardson at 6.7, and then there's a big group of guys in the 7K range that I think are in play. Geno Smith, we talked about on DK. He's 7.2 on FanDuel. Kirk Cousins is a guy I think that comes more in play on FanDuel at 7.5. That's a good price tag for him. And then I think Burrow kind of comes in the conversation a little bit as well at 7.9. So I think there's more options on FanDuel opposed to DraftKings because of the 7K range and how many guys are, in this range. So just give me your thoughts over on FanDuel quarterbacks.
Yeah, pretty similar. And I want to touch on something quick. So monitoring weather is it's not like baseball necessarily where you have to look at weather every single day. It's still, I would look at it every single week for sure, but very few cases is it, I look at our guy Kevin Roth over there, Rotor Grinders, Chris Carter, why I brought it up. Expected wet weather in New England. So I did pull up what Roth has, and he only has 4 games tagged as yellow. The Baltimore game, Washington, Patriots, and the Giants, and still too early for weather. He said scattered showers possible. So come Sunday morning, we'll talk about it in the Discord and all that on the show, but monitor weather.
In terms of that one specifically, I don't even know if that matters all that much. I mean,
for Jalen Hurts.
The defense is going to have to stop him. I mean, he's definitely running. I mean, they have to play on the same surface. So, I mean, I don't know if there's distinct or data that proves that that's bad for obviously the overall game. It might not be great, but for Jalen Hurts specifically, I don't know if that matters. But
yeah, it is
important. It is important.
More so an overarching thing. You don't want to not look at weather one bit. You turn on Sunday at noon for the Bills game, and it's 40 miles an hour winds and all that. You're like, wow, I just played Josh Allen. He can't even throw the ball 20 yards.
Yes.
But usually it's more later this season. Just wanted to bring up the weather. But yeah, touching FanDuel quick, kind of a lot of the same guys. FanDuel's always softer pricing, so paying up's usually more. It's a lot easier to do. Not saying we have to do that week 1. There's options down low, but yeah, Lamar and Jalen Hurts. If I am paying up, $9K for Hurts, 8.9K for Lamar. Right now, I think I prefer Lamar just slightly, and it feels so weird to say that, but it's mainly just Houston is a team I want to pick on all year. They're in the dome. Actually, excuse me, they're not in the dome. They're in Baltimore. It should be solid weather there, but they're going to play so much faster with the new OC this year. Bateman's there. Zay Flowers is there. Monitor the Andrews as well. Looked a little banged up. I expect him to play week 1, though. Dobbins there. I just am very bullish on Baltimore. I think Houston is going to struggle this year. You do get a little nervous, Lamar and them playing from up a lot. They run the ball more, but Lamar with his legs, I like that. I prefer him to Hurts right now slightly. I'm curious to hear your thoughts there, though. But I think the Herbert, Justin Fields, Burrow range is interesting. Kind of throwing Fields out, I prefer Herbert and Burrow to Fields if I have to pick, and they are cheaper. So I think I like Herbert the most against Miami. Just love Herbert this year. Burrow, he should be 100%. I'm not worried about that calf and stuff that he was worried in the preseason. Right now, prefer Herbert to Burrow slightly, but he would be in the consideration. And then you're going all the way down to the Geno at 7.2K. I'm not playing Howell at 7.1. I much prefer Geno for only $100 more. Otherwise, it's down to Anthony Richardson that we just touched on at 6.7K. So you can either go all the way up to the 8, 9, and the 9Ks with Hurts and Lamar, or you can save $3,000 or $2,300 and go all the way down to Anthony Richardson. So right now, I think my lean is Richardson and just saving the money and spending elsewhere. Geno situation, though, maybe Walker's out. They throw a little more. I'd have more interest at 7.1K if that's the case there. Otherwise, the Herbert Burrow range. But right now, my lean, I think, is Richardson.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of different ways to go. Obviously, there's a lot of options. And again, the purpose here is to just develop the player pool. Talk about the guys that are in play. For me personally, 4 or 5 on DK. I might expand that list a little bit more on FanDuel just because of the price points for some of those other guys. So that's quarterback, kind of where we're at. And again, obviously, if you are a member at SHIPIT Nation, we're available in Discord to answer any additional questions that you do have about this stuff. So make sure to get on over there and check it out. Over on DraftKings for running back, you did mention Kenneth Walker limited, I believe, yesterday. Haven't gotten the update today. Could shift things a little bit. That's the one piece of news to kind of monitor here. Jamal Williams is a guy that definitely stands out with Alvin Kamara out. He is only, all right, let me switch over here. He is
5.1K.
Yeah, 5.1K at home. Very cheap. If you're spending up, there's obvious spends there. I mean, you can go to McCaffrey if you want, who I actually don't love this week. Austin Eckler, I think, would be my preference. Want more exposure to that game. Bijan Robinson, much more expensive on DraftKings opposed to FanDuel, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Joe Mixon looks like he's getting all the work in Cincy, which is different. I know there's a lot of offseason stuff with him, but they don't have Pirine anymore. He's 6'8". Pirine, speaking of him, is only 5.1K. Somewhat of an interesting play. Talked about McCaffrey at the top if you want to go there. We have options here. My lean, I think, early. Oh, and Mostert as well. He is very cheap in that game that you probably want some exposure to. Chargers and Dolphins, very high total. So I think 5 or 6 guys that I'm kind of looking at here. What are your thoughts? DK, running back.
Yeah, so we'll go from top to bottom. So yeah, it's not running back over the years. It used to be a position you always wanted to pay up for. As the years went on, again, it moved more to the wide receiver position. If I'm spending up at running back, it's definitely Austin Eckler right there with Herbert. You get Miami, a very fast-paced game, very good point, or can catch the ball, PPR monster, touchdown equity. If you play DFS and watch football, whatever, Eckler's one of the best guys out there, PPR machine. So if I'm spending up, it is definitely him. I don't think you have to spend up, though, because then you go down a little bit. I would skip the whole 7K range mainly, and I would go right to the 6K range. A couple guys stand out. You mentioned Joe Mixon, 6.8K, looking to get all the work. Great offense, one of the highest team totals on the slate. Good touchdown prop as well. Then you go down a little bit. Alexander Madison for $300 left, 6.5K. He's the guy now in Minnesota. They brought in like Myles Gaskin, I think, Ty Chandler. There really isn't a great second running back on that roster. I'm expecting them to run Madison in the ground. So yeah, 6.5K is a great price tag there. They are at home in Minnesota in the Dome. Kenneth Walker, huge talking point. 6K feels way too underpriced. I haven't heard an update either. I mean, I'm assuming he's going to play. It's week 1, and this injury he was dealing with a couple injuries in the offseason in August, but it sounded like he was moving in the right direction for sure. So I was a little surprised to see him pop up on the injury report like this. But if he plays at 6K, this Rams team is going to just be such a mess. Aaron Donald's tough, but run away from him. I think 6K is way too cheap for a Seattle team. Good implied total there as well. They have weapons out top, JSN, DK. You can't stack the box against them. Love Kenneth Walker this year. And then the Cam Akers, Aaron Jones, like all of these guys in the 6K range, Walker, Jones, Cam Akers, Madison, I think all are in play. They're all starting running backs. They're all going to get probably about 20 touches. And yeah, I mean, you're only playing 2. Usually, like we talk about in the flex spot, more so as the years have went on, I've transitioned to playing wide receivers in the flex more. It's not a hard set rule I do.
You were kind of ahead of the curve on that too, to be honest. A lot of people, like, no matter what, we're just putting running backs in there just every single slate, every single week. You were ahead of that. A couple years ago, you were one of the first to kind of transition and realize that, hey, this is a move. Definitely worked out and paid off, because now look where we're at, 2 years later. I mean, that's kind of the thing that you do even in cash games, essentially.
Yeah, no, it really is. So that's why, yeah, like I'm listing these names. I think it's a pool of like 7 right now.
Yeah.
But you very well might only be picking 2. So those guys in the mid tier, like I said, Akers, Jones, Mixon, all of that. Kenneth Walker, monitor that. But there's 2 guys down low as well. Jamal Williams, he stands out by far the most. No Alvin Kamara dealing with the suspension. Keandre Miller as well, their rookie, is not playing week 1 as well. He got ruled out. So it's not a great matchup by any means for Jamal Williams against Tennessee. But, man, at 5.1K as the guy, I feel like you just have to go there, coming off a monster year. So that is one of the strongest plays. And the last guy, like I said, Deion Jackson, with no JT back there. They already said it's going to be running back by committee in Indy, but the dude's 4.1K. I mean, and it's not just some random guy. Deion Jackson got run last year in certain moments, so it was pretty solid. Evan Hall going to rotate in, stuff like that. So, yeah, Jamal Williams definitely the strongest play here. If you want to go all the way up top, you have the money. Eckler's a beast. You can't afford him right in the mid-tier. Mixon, Akers, Jones, Walker, all starting running backs affordably priced. Then Jamal Williams, Deion Jackson, pretty solid running back pool.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think 6 or 7 potential guys. But the one that definitely stands out in terms of value for me, Jamal Williams. I'll just take my chances on that. I mean, they're thin. I mean, he was in a split role basically all season last year and super, super effective. Now it's going to be like the main dude, at least for a few weeks, 5.1K at home. He definitely stands out. Over on FanDuel, a lot of the same names. A couple guys that I think I want to point out that are cheaper on FanDuel versus DK. The first one is Bijan Robinson. He is only 7.8K on FanDuel at home. Gonna get all the work. And then J.K. Dobbins, I think, is another guy you can kind of throw into the mix. He's 6,500 at home, big favorite against the Ravens. If spending, it's still Eckler over there. Jamal Williams is a little more expensive. He's up to 6.8 opposed to the 5.1 on FanDuel. Mixon still a really good price tag. So a lot of the same guys. Robinson more in play for me on FanDuel, and then J.K. Dobbins. But most of those guys that we like on DK as well. Thoughts on FanDuel?
Yeah, no, similar thoughts here. A lot of the same people, but the Jamal Williams price tag is not nearly as great. Bijan Robinson, like you're saying, he grades out really well. Sub 8K, 7.8K. I mean, this dude, absolute freak. Drafted with like the 8th pick in the draft. He's going in the first round in DFS. Very good price tag against Carolina there. You mentioned I like Cam Akers, like Kenneth Walker. I think J.K. Dobbins also a solid play there. Two other names I'll mention: Damian Pierce and Raheem Mostert. That's more if you're looking to save a little bit. Mostert all the way down to 5.9K. Looks to be a starting running back. I mean, there's a chain there that he's going to get mixed in once in a while, the rookie, but not sure how much work he's going to get right away. Jeff Wilson starts the year on the IR. They didn't go and pick anybody else up in the offseason too. Dalvin was in talks and all of that. So Mostert, at least early, looks to be like the guy. And 5.9K, not a bad price tag. And then the last guy, like I said, Damian Pierce, 6.2K, another better price on FanDuel than DK. I probably played this guy, him and Drake London. I played more than anybody last year.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily work out great, but that's a starting running back right here. He should even be more involved in the pass work this year. Don't love playing people on the Texans, but if I ever do, it usually is the Damian Pierce last year and before that Brandon Cooks. But it's just because they're so underpriced for their role because their team's so bad and they're implied for such a low total. They're always so cheap, but can easily get 70% of the snaps right here. If they get to the goal line, he has touchdown equity. He's an athletic guy. He runs hard. So I think Damian Pierce is mispriced on FanDuel, where catches don't mean as much and touchdown equity means a little more.
Yeah, FanDuel didn't budge his price at all last season. I feel like we were just playing him
in London, but they were right because they burned me almost every time.
Yeah, that is true. Pierce did have some random big games, but yeah, for the most part, it was not a fun ride. That's for sure. If you haven't done so yet, please do us that favor.
Oh, wow.
Hit the like.
Christian Watson out.
Yeah, that's
and
big.
Romeo Doubs questionable.
Perfect timing to transition into our. That's I guess we could circle back because that's got to be someone.
Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones gets the bump, and we talked about him being in play. So yes, there we go. Aaron Jones even gets a bigger bump right there for sure. Yeah, on DK more so. But still on FanDuel, but the PPR.
The PPR is what you're looking for, and I mean he's got to be out there almost the entire game. I'm assuming.
Well, who knows with AJ Dillon and stuff? We say that, and LaFleur just tilts the heck out of me sometimes.
Well, I mean, even last night, you look at freaking that Gibbs, and that dude is an absolute
hardly
stud.
Played.
Hardly played. I mean,
and McKinnon.
Yeah, and McKinnon. That's in the past. We're moving forward. We're talking. Man, how do you watch a guy like Gibbs and just not put him out on the field? They got the win, obviously.
He's going to be a stud, though, man. They're just easing him in, but he is explosive.
Yeah, he's got a different gear. He's certainly
confirmed. Watson's out. Creative thinking is confirmed.
Yep. So more cheap wide receivers. We're going to start on DraftKings. We already had a few, and I guess we'll just kind of start there at the running back position. We already had Marvin Mims. We already have Tutu Atwell with Cooper Kupp out, both 3K flat. Now we have who's the green what's his name?
Reed.
Yeah, Reed 3K flat as well. Could turn into an even better play if Dobbs is out. So that's something to monitor at the wide receiver position. My lean at this point is probably to have one of these 3K wide receivers on my cash team. It opens up a ton, and they go out and get you a goose egg. still live to win in cash games. So, I think a lot of people think if they play a 3K guy in cash, he has to go out there and get 50 yards and a touchdown. It's just simply not the case. And we'll talk about it a lot at the tight end position, throughout the season, where you just go cheap and hope to get something. This week, I think it probably just does make sense, especially on DraftKings. FanDuel is a little bit different because they don't have that floor price that DraftKings does. So I think you probably play one of those guys, and that allows you to get exposure to the top tier, which we've already talked about. These top tier wide receivers are just printers on DK. Like, their upside is massive. They hit the bonuses, they get the touchdowns. It's just the full PPR. And we have a few, obviously, this week. Justin Jefferson, obviously 8-8. Jamar Chase, 8-1. Tyreek Hill in that game that we like, 8-2. I think you can even throw Devontae Adams in the mix, 7-9, but he's probably a distant fourth for me out of those top three. So I think it's Jefferson, it's Tyreek Hill, it's Chase, all in play to some degree. On DraftKings, I think it kind of turns into this position turns into a punt, spend up type thing, not much in the middle. Whereas FanDuel, I think we have more mid-tier options. So DraftKings specifically, talk to me about some of these wide receivers that are in play for cash.
Yeah, I think there's a couple mid-tier options. So, yeah, you definitely touched on the top three. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek, Jamar Chase. Guys will be saying pretty much every single week. Sounds like Kupp probably going to be headed to the IR. So you said possibility. But my guess is Kupp's going to be headed to the IR, which is unfortunate. So we won't be talking about him as much. But always the Jets, Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the league, almost always every week. He is my number one. And I mean, that's the case talking raw points, but Tyreek for $600 less in that great game. I mean, the Chargers, Miami, highest total on the slate. People are going to go to that one for sure. So it feels like Tyreek, wide receiver 1 on the slate, but I definitely love Jefferson. I think Chase is probably the odd man out in cash games. Still a great play. I mean, if you play him in cash, don't think you're crazy, but probably more tournaments there. The mid-tier, though, I think there's some options. The Mike Williams, the Christian Kirks, the Deebo Samuels, Chris Olave, Calvin Ridley. Those 4 or 5 are definitely my favorite. So that's Deebo, Ridley, Olave, Kirk, Mike Williams. I think all of them are in play. They're all appropriately priced. They're all complete studs. If you cannot fit a Tyreek, a Jefferson, a Chase, something like that, and you have to drop to these guys in the mid-tier, I think you're totally fine doing that. Do I have a preference? I'd probably say Ridley right now just because of all the hype and everything coming out of him during this offseason. But, man, Christian Kirk was such a stud. Chris Olave now gets to upgrade at quarterback with Derek Carr. And I really Jamal Williams is going to be played, so you don't have to worry about leverage and all of that and cash. And, if you play Jamal, I should answer this. If you play Jamal, does that mean you shouldn't play Olave because it's 2 Saints? No, cash games, you don't really worry about that stuff. You only got to beat 50% of the field. So, yeah, Ridley would probably be my favorite, but Deebo, Ridley, Olave, Kirk, Mike Williams, all in play there. And if we need to go down and save some money, right now I feel like it's got to be Jaden Reed with this Christian Watson news. It was Marvin Mims was grading out pretty well because of Judy, his questionability. He is the Tim Patrick news and all of that. Yeah. So Marvin Mims was going to slide in and be popular there, but I think I probably prefer Jaden Reed right now. There's still some other, I think Drake London's fine too for the price tag. Another guy that absolutely just kept burning me, but hey, he's 5.4K as a wide receiver 1. They're not going to throw the ball much, but when they do, he's getting the targets mainly. I think he's fine too. And then the last guy I'll mention, Chris Godwin, good price tag, 5.9K, probably going to be trailing, just right in the slot. Who knows? It's Baker. It's questionable. I don't love doing that. It's not the same Godwin with Tom Brady that would 2-step drop, throw it out in 1.5 seconds, and Godwin would just take his 1.5 and move on. But 5.9K in the slot, PPR, definitely in consideration.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Again, how I think this is shaping up, you're going to have probably 1 cheap wide receiver.
And this guy said you can play 2. Guys. You can play 2. I mean, there's definitely with all his injury news. If you want to play punt QB,
so this is where we were talking about what you do at quarterback determines what you do at a lot of these other positions. If you're going cheap at quarterback, you can certainly play 2 of these guys. And
if you're going Deion Jackson and Jamal and not Eckler, you're easily going to be able to, for sure.
it's a pretty wide open week. That's what we kind of talked about. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go, a lot of different builds. If you play Eckler, maybe you don't play one of these spend wide receivers. And honestly, at this point, I don't know, what's right and what's wrong. I mean, and we'll obviously get you on the right path with the core plays on the website. But at this point, it's still, I think, up in the air of what is the proper way to, or what we think is the proper way to go. But that'll be obviously articulated on the ship.
I'll just say, King of Smith, I don't know if you just got in here or something, but it's because the NFL has changed and the wide receivers are the best position. Like the Jeffersons, the Kupps, Tyreek's, Chase, like they are running. They'll throw it out there literally. One step draft, you throw a screen route. Devontae Adams and Rodgers did it all the time. You get 1 point right for that catch, yards after catch. Their floor is higher than running backs nowadays. So that's
certainly. And,
and ceiling.
For sure. And we'll transition to FanDuel where it's a little bit different, the half PPR, but still, man, these guys are scoring the big boy points, and I want exposure to these top wide receivers again. I think the mid tier is a little better over on FanDuel opposed to DraftKings. You have Calvin Ridley at $7K, which is a really good price tag for him. Over there, your boy Drake London is 6'2". Over on FanDuel, and then Cortland Sutton's under 6K at 5'9". Three guys that definitely stand out as potential plays. You have Tyler Lockett, 6.8K. I think that's a cheap price tag for him. We saw him obviously have a big season. Players like Mike Williams become more in play on FanDuel, like touchdown dependent, not full PPR type stuff. Guys like Godwin get downgrades because he's not, he's a PPR type guy, not necessarily a big touchdown guy. And then the cheaper plays are less valuable on FanDuel opposed to DraftKings. Yes, you can still play some of these cheap guys like Mims is 4.7K over there. Tutu is 5K flat. I don't see Reed is 5K. So there's three guys down there. It's just not as valuable on FanDuel as on DraftKings. I think you can still do it, but you look at a guy like Reed, he's 5K on FanDuel. Well, it's only 900 more to get to like Cortland Sutton, who definitely has like way more upside. So those cheap guys more valuable on DK. I think the mid tier on FanDuel a little more in play on DK too, but a little bit more valuable on FanDuel the way things are set up. And then Justin Jefferson has the big boy price tag. He's 9.5K, which is 1,000 more than Chase, and then 700 more than Tyreek. So thoughts, FanDuel wide receiver.
Yeah, I will mention the Tutu Atwell. Someone brought him up in chat too. Min price 3K on DK. I didn't mention him because I think I prefer Jaden Reed now with no Watson, but yeah, Tutu's definitely in play on DraftKings. And FanDuel, Tutu's 5K, Jaden Reed's 5K as well. So both those guys in play. But I do definitely prefer if I could spend up for the majority or at least be in the mid-tier, it's the same guys. Like, yes, Jefferson's expensive. I prefer the Tyreek and Chase with the price discount. But if you can fit Justin Jefferson, play Justin Jefferson. Chris Olave, same thing. Or like same thing as we talked about on DK. Lockett has a good price tag. I like Cortland Sutton's price tag, like you mentioned as well. It feels a lot harder to go all the way down because on DK, when the min price is all the way at 3K, salary is always tighter on DraftKings. That's usually when you do like the full punt and something like that when they have a bigger role. On FanDuel, with how the pricing is, usually you just don't need to take that long shot at wide receiver. Like I kept mentioning Drake London last year because he was like 5.5K, 5.6 for wide receiver one. Tutu, Jaden Reed, there is risk at 5K. Again, I think I prefer Reed, but if I can get the Cortland Suttons, the Olaves of the world, Calvin Ridley's of the world, Tyler Lockett, you mentioned Mike Williams, Amari Cooper's at 6'7", Godwin's at 6'8". That's the range I really want to live in the mid-tier. So it's a lot of the same guys as DK. Probably pick one up top, maybe two up top, and then go to that low 6K range or something like that.
Yep.
I'm not playing Ben Skoranek. I don't even know if he not in cash.
No,
and Mingo, and then Jonathan Mingo. That was the other thing people were talking about because Van Jefferson, wide receiver. Still don't love the Van Jefferson price. He's fine though. He's in play. And Mingo because DJ Chark was ruled out. He's 4.7 on DK. I think is Van Jefferson. What he was
Van Jefferson's 4.7. That's not great. I'd rather just take my chances with a 3K punt. He's pretty similar to Atwell at that point. So like no thanks there.
Yeah, and then people are talking about Jonathan Mingo because DJ Chark's out. So Adam Thielen's questionable. If Adam Thielen gets ruled out, then Mingo might even be better than Jaden Reed. So this is then they're really left with no one. Like Terrence Marshall, I know he was hurt earlier in the year. He might be questionable. We'll get to tight end. Maybe this is a good segue, but Hayden Hurst?
Yeah, he's 3K. Maybe just play the Falcons defense or something like that. You go Robinson and Falcons defense.
Yeah, well, we'll get to defense. On one side, I mean, it's so basically the big difference is on DK a full punt 3K is not crazy by any means. On FanDuel, it's not crazy, the 5K guys, but they're not as appealing on FanDuel.
Not as valuable. Yeah. I mean, you look at it, it's like, all right, for 800, 900 more, you can get a legitimate wide receiver on FanDuel. On DraftKings,
3,500.
Yeah, I mean, you need the legitimate wide receivers don't really start showing up until the 5K price range, and you're $2,000 cheaper, so it makes sense. And you can literally take a goose egg with some of these 3K guys in cash and be totally fine because it's getting you those big time upside guys. So something to note in terms of roster construction. Tight end on DraftKings, more times than not in cash games, you're probably looking to go cheap. I think that's probably the case this week. It's a little bit different, though, between the two sites. I mean, a name that a lot of people are obviously going to talk about, Tyler Higbee, very cheap on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, he's 4.8K, and you still need to do something at 4.8K. A cheap name a lot of people are talking about already is this Luke Musgrave guy for the Packers. He just got a big boost as well, so he's probably maybe ends up being a really good value play on this slate. Hayden Hurst, like you talked about, 3K flat. If they don't have anyone to throw the damn ball to, what's a rookie quarterback going to do? He's going to look to his tight end to bail his ass out. Hayden Hurst, 3K. So way it's shaping up, and you can tell me your thoughts. On DraftKings, I think we're probably just going to end up saving as much money as possible.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's either Higbee, basically three guys: Higbee, Hayden Hurst, Luke Musgrave. Higbee because of the Cooper Kupps and all of that, 4.8K. Definitely a better price on FanDuel. It's just because the min price on DK is a lot cheaper than it is on FanDuel. So 3K goes a lot farther. It was if Watson wasn't ruled out, I think it was going to be Hayden Hurst with DJ Chark ruled out, Thielen questionable. I mean, there's only so many Terrence Marshall's questionable too, like Chris Carter said. I thought there's only so many guys out there,
man. Yeah.
So 3K, but now Musgrave, number one, and Watson's out. Romeo Doubs, the number two, is questionable. And Musgrave's a good pass catcher. He's athletic. He had a lot of rave over in the summer as well. So, yeah, you're getting out cheap. The highest you pay for Higbee on DK. And I still think right now my route is probably one of Hurst or Musgrave. And then talking on FanDuel, yeah, I mean, I'll give out a freebie as of now. Right now it's Tyler Higbee in my lineup. If it changes, though, you'll see on the cash report at SHIPIT Nation.
Yeah, it's just a standout price tag with no Cooper Kupp. I mean, it's not like it's a new quarterback, new system or anything like that. These guys have played together. No Cooper Kupp. Higbee had the big games without Kupp last year. The price is it's just a bad price. And
Hurst is 5K and Higbee's 5.3.
Yep. It's just cheap. He's going to be very highly owned, and you know what? That's fine. I know a lot of people, even in cash games. Well, I don't, want to. Play the super chalky plays all the time. And I get that. I think more in cash games, you don't want to play the super chalky lineup that everyone's playing if there's a common route to go. I don't think that's necessarily the case this week. So Higbee, he just makes sense. He's going to be popular. I think you just play him on FanDuel. That is the freebie. That's the FanDuel freebie. We're not going to talk defense a ton this year on this show, all right? Because a lot of times you're trying to just get cheap as you can, get the hell out of the position in cash games. Very rarely are we spending up. There's a clear misprice defense on DraftKings. This will be the second freebie of the show. Talk to the people about that.
Yeah, so on the cash report over here at ShipItNation.com, I do not want to take defenses. There's very, very, very few weeks I will ever take a defense unless I think you are making a big mistake not plugging in this defense, and that's this week. It's the Commanders on DraftKings. They get the coveted matchup everybody is going to be hunting this year in the Arizona Cardinals. You get Joshua Dobbs starting at court. Everything for the Cardinals is a complete mess. Commanders actually a good defense too, a good front seven. They're $2,800. Like just play Washington in cash games. Don't overthink it. Like I said, I'm not going to really be listing defense on the cash. Most of the time, there is no lock defense. Like figure out the rest of your team, get out cheap, whatever fits, go. Today, this week, the Commanders will be the first ones in my lineup. So for that reason, I'm going to take them in the cash report and give you guys a freebie. Higbee on FanDuel, Commanders on DK. And if you're looking at FanDuel quick for defenses, I mean, it's not nearly like the Commanders situation. They are all the way up to 4.9K, which just shows the pricing discrepancy on DK, the mispricing. So there's no lock on FanDuel at defense. I'll be doing what I usually do on DK. Come to the defense. What do I have money for? Figure that out.
Yeah, on FanDuel. I mean, you can play them too. I mean, I think they're definitely one of the.
They're in play for sure.
Yeah,
they're not a lot.
No, I was just adding on. Outside of that, like you can always go cheap. I mean, there's 3K defenses I think in play. Again, we're not going to spend a lot of time on defense on the show. For the most part, you want to get out as cheap as possible. I kind of like the Chargers a little bit. That 3.4K. Like I know that game is a high total, but it could be a lot of passing. I think they're kind of a defense that I have some interest in at 3.4. But I'd be fine playing anyone way down there, even on FanDuel as well. What are the Seahawks? Are they moderate price?
Yeah.
4-2. I think that's a really good price. That's a really good tag for them too. 4-2 at home, favored by like 5 or 6. So again, we're not going to talk a ton of defense throughout the season, but we have a lock situation essentially.
If you watched our show, the Showdown show yesterday, I mean, literally the exact thing I said. I said I actually like the defenses because the higher total, the better. So Hoops talking Chargers, Miami. I think worst comes to worst, it's fine in cash, but in tournaments more, that's the stuff I like. The highest total, everyone's going to that game. You just saw it yesterday. It only takes one play.
Just because you brought it up, I mean, Kadarius Toney, like, how do you bounce back from that? Like that
what about Sky Moore? What about both?
Well, yeah, but like Toney, I mean, Sky Moore sucked and he didn't have many opportunities. Like
he had a couple
game-changing play. I mean, legit, like game-changing plays that he just totally just.
Well, there was Toney stunk. Moore could have done better. But what was that 3rd and 1 wide receiver sweep that the Chiefs did? Literally handing the ball backwards to run in a horizontal line when you need 1 yard.
I swear,
I love Andy Reid, but man.
Yeah, that's just getting too cute. I just don't understand why. Did they eliminate that? Did they ban that play where the tight end comes in and pushes? Like, that's undefeated. It works literally.
Think so.
Yeah, I know they had talked about it. Like, if that is still.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, if that's still legal, you should just literally do that every single time. Like, you can't stop that play. Like, you can't stop it. Like, I don't understand.
They just don't want to hurt Mahomes. Like, hurt. I don't know. Someone let me know if I'm wrong, but I really don't think they change. Regardless, though, fullback to anything but a wide receiver sweep. Yeah, you can still do it.
Our guy Ham said you can still do it. So, like, that should be the move more times than not. And I know Mahomes did get hurt. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago with the QB sneak. He hurt his knee. Maybe that's why. But give it to a fullback. Like, put the tight end under center. Like, I don't give a shit. Like,
they used to always do that.
Yeah. Just wanted to pull this up one more time because it is going away on Monday. Our 3-2-1 bundle, $321 gets you access to everything on our website for 6 months. NBA will be starting soon. NHL will be starting soon. MMA is every single weekend. Best team, in the industry title. Marley breaking it down. They just did a show. If you're playing the slate tomorrow, make sure to get on over there and watch that show. We have full content for UFC 293, including my core, which done pretty well so far. I've learned from the best title. He taught me the way in the UFC streets. A lot of success. But the breakdown that those guys do on the website is absolutely phenomenal. And then all NFL content and Showdown content. I mean, we have you covered. 321 cheapest, all in price in the industry. As I always say, our goal is to have you pay less so you have more money to play more contests. This is the cheapest price when you go out there and start comparing. So make sure to check us out. I think you're going to love the product. Big hits. I want to give a shout out to our guy last night that won the first FanDuel live final seat that was offered. Our guy K Craps came in there and just took it down first place. So he'll be going to that FanDuel live final. And I don't think it's going to be the last live final that our team over here at SHIPIT Nation finds their way into. A lot of big things coming. Title, any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
Man, there's nothing better talking some football upon Free Money Sunday. Got a little football in our blood yesterday. It wasn't the greatest game. At least it was pretty close. A lot of screenshots though, but there's nothing different, man. Waking up on Sunday, and what's the day before Sunday? Little pay-per-view season, MMA Saturday. No, couldn't draw up a better weekend, man.
Yeah, the next 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, just going to be
next
phenomenal.
3 months. Saturday, Sunday, the next 3 months, baby.
Yes, absolutely. Still have MLB content tonight too, and we have a show coming up with Nades and Ham. That's a great show. They've been crushing it on Fridays. All our content for MLB will be up on the website here relatively soon. Like you said, like we said, we got you covered for all sports, lowest price. Come check us out. Make sure to tune in Sunday morning. Myself, Tambo, Title, our inaugural Sunday morning NFL show. You'll catch us every Sunday morning on this channel, 9:45 Eastern. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to get that started. But for now, we're going to get on out of here. Make sure to tune into all the other shows and content on this channel. We appreciate your support. Good luck, and let's ship it.